Hey everybody, it's Natalie from Power Moon Tarot. Welcome to your reading. Today's reading is a Pick a Goddess reading, and I'm going to give you a message just for you from the goddess herself. And I'm using the Goddess Power Oracle in case you're interested. And we have three different goddesses to choose from today. We have the Morrighan for pile number 1. We have Ishtar for pile number 2. And we have the White Buffalo Calf Woman for pile number 3. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, sink into your body. Let the spirit move you. And think about which goddess is calling your name today. I'm going to go ahead and put the piles aside here, the other 2 piles aside, and feel free to listen to more than one pile. If you're just really craving the guidance and the messages today, there may be more than one message in a particular pile for you. And for those of you that are interested in a personal reading with me, details for how to book one are in the description box below. And if you'd like a natal chart reading with me as well, details are below and a link to my website to do that. So let's go ahead and get into the reading and begin. Let us begin. Pile number 1, welcome to your reading. You chose the Morrighan, and today's reading is a Pick a Goddess message just for you. When we get near the end of your reading, I'm going to go ahead and read the message from the book here for you as well too. But before we start that, I am going to get some channeled messages for you. Then we'll get your tarot, and then we will look at the book, okay? So let's go ahead and do it. Spirits, angels, and guides, please connect me to the energy of pile number 1, who comes here today with an open heart, seeking your guidance. Thank you for allowing me to be the medium in the channel between yourself and pile number 1. Pile number 1, perhaps you're needing to catch your breath. Recently, there's been a lot going on. I'm feeling quite warm in your reading. Okay, I just heard something about Nancy or Nancy Drew. Perhaps you guys are like detectives, or you used to read those old novels back in the day, or you know someone with the name Nancy. Let's see what else Spirit wants to bring. Okay, I see someone blowing me a kiss. Well, if that's you, thank you, pile number 1. Perhaps Spirit is blowing you a kiss. I just heard something about on the wings of tomorrow. So perhaps which makes me think of air travel. Perhaps some of you are going to be flying, or you just went somewhere, or you're planning something for the future. You're planning to go somewhere in the future. What else for pile number 1 for channeled messages? I just heard something about Daisy or daisies in general. Perhaps you like daisies, or you know someone with the name Daisy. Daisy Sunshine, perhaps that was somebody's nickname. What else, Spirit, for pile number 1? Okay. Also, I just heard Christina Applegate. So perhaps you like Christina Applegate, or the name Christina is relevant here, but I just heard Christina Applegate. So she's an actress, but she's older now. And I believe she has, what is it that she has? She has, I think, multiple sclerosis. I forget what it is, or maybe it's Bell's palsy, I forget. But anyway, pile number 1, I just heard her name. She's on that Netflix show. It's about death and dying, but it's who is on that with her? It's her husband just passed away, and then she meets a friend who just had a husband that passed away. I can't think of the name, but it's a relatively newer show, seasoned show on Netflix, with seasons and everything. But if you know what I'm talking about, and it's interesting that I got her anyway, because the Morrighan has to do with death and magic, and seasons of change and rebirth, and hoping for something better is what I feel when I look at her, and being very close to the edge, and praying for a miracle on something, or really hoping that something goes your way. Perhaps pile number 1, okay? And we are going to go ahead and I'm seeing a K and an F here. And the word friend, something about a friend. Okay, perhaps you're concerned about a friend who's been ill or hasn't been themselves lately. But pile number one, we are going to go ahead and get into your reading, okay? The Morrighan having a special message for you today about death and rebirth and the magic of transformations and the magic of change. And we have the World card here. Yep, something coming to a conclusion. We have the Six of Wands. And I feel like it's almost like she's saying, please, 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 let it be true. And we have the Ace of Pentacles. For those of you that have like a big performance or presentation, or perhaps you have a big event coming up, and you need to prepare for that, and you need to make sure you're ready for that. And it's scary, you know, being in front of people can be very scary, but I think you're going to do wonderfully. Pile number one. Let's see what else we have here. We have the Page of Pentacles, being prepared. Let's see, I'm going to get the rest of your cards out and then we'll talk. We have Shadow. Okay, fear of failure can definitely, you know, feeling small or feeling fear of failure about something, or scared that you ruined something. That could also be an issue here for you, pile number one. We have Moon and feelings, your gut instinct and your moods. We have I am diplomatic. You have a great talent for finding solutions. Your intuitive and unbiased nature allow you to see all sides of any situation and advise others towards the most fair and beneficial outcome. I am diplomatic. And I think you guys are really good at considering other people's feelings. But perhaps at times it's fallen short. Situations have fallen short of what you want them to be or what you need them to be. And I'm also seeing like somebody getting a hot new skirt, or getting a beautiful new outfit, or getting like a new skirt to wear. I'm also seeing that here. We have ancestors and past. Having with the Ace of Pentacles and ancestors, having a really deep connection to and wanting to be respectful is another thing that I'm feeling. Like, I feel you guys are people that want to be respectful of other people's feelings, and you want to be respectful of the traditions that other people have. You want to be aware of how our actions affect future generations. I talked about on the wings of tomorrow, and you know, but also on the wings of tomorrow and also the past as well. And we have card 34 here and 37. So perhaps some of you are between 34 or 37, or thinking about the last 3 years and in your life, and exactly like what you've accomplished and how much that means to you, and how grateful you are for an opportunity to reinvent yourself and to become, and to even start off. Like, I see a lot of great success for you guys here with the World and the Six of Wands, and I see a fearless facing of your fears, like, and a fear, perhaps a fear in the past of your feelings getting in the way of something, or perhaps not having space to show your feelings in relationships with others. We have here radical self-love. Yeah, definitely. We can only receive love to the extent that we unconditionally love and live the truth of ourselves. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, radical self-love. And diplomacy is great. You have a great talent for finding solutions, and your intuitive, unbiased nature allows you to see. So you're very fair, and you always give people I feel like the benefit of the doubt, or the opportunity to shine. But I also feel like you guys are like, well, when's, you know, that's great, but like, when's it my turn, and is it too late? And maybe some of you are wondering, is it too old? Am I too old to kind of pursue what I'm wanting to pursue. And some of you may be feeling like, hey, I'm getting signs. I feel like I'm getting signs that I shouldn't proceed with what I want to do. But honestly, I feel like you're fine. I feel like you're going to overcome. You know, the Six of Wands is definitely an energy of overcoming any past, any past notions of not being able to stand up for yourself, not being able to handle something, not being able to handle the spotlight, not being able to take center stage. There's a time for diplomacy and sharing feelings. And, the World card is also associated with Saturn. So sometimes we have to put a boundary there. And sometimes we have to put a boundary there between, like, I feel some of you here really want to help someone with something, or perhaps you really have strong feelings, and in your nature is to be helpful. But I also feel like sometimes this can get away from you. And I resonate with this energy, pile number one. I know how you feel. You're watching my channel for a reason, I'm sure. But what I see is a lot of like stability that's wanting to manifest. But when we come to a point in our life cycle with the World card, as far as from a maturity perspective, we have to learn to, sometimes we have to focus on ourselves, and we have to focus on taking a compliment, or we have to focus on letting ourselves become who we're meant to be. Like, we can't keep, catering to other people's feelings all the time. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I also think with the Morrighan here, there's a real change in how you access your power and how you present yourself out into the world. And you may feel like an old part of you is dying, and there is some shadow there that you guys are working with. And I feel like your ancestors in the past may have struggled with this themselves as well, like wearing themselves out or wearing themselves down, physically or health-wise or mentally or emotionally, like being too, perhaps too diplomatic or too emotional, or perhaps self-sabotaging in a way, and with the shadow and feelings and the moon, it's like, I just want to make sure that I can trust what I'm feeling. And, can I trust my feelings, and can I trust what I'm getting? And I feel like you have very good instincts. You're very intuitive. And you are a deep feeler, I feel like, pile number one. But this phase of your life is calling for something different than what you've done in the past. And I feel like there was some regrets with your ancestors regarding, how much they gave away to other people versus like the nurturing and the care that they gave to, themselves. And perhaps there's a lot of giving away of energy to the family, or a lot of leeway given to family. And in your lineage, right, there's a lot of emotions there, and especially on the feminine side of things of your family. And the moon also talking about privacy here and our habits, right? And sometimes wanting to cover up our shadow or cover up the things that we're uncomfortable with. For those of you that are 43, and I'm seeing 43, 2, and 41. So obviously there's 2 years between 41 and 43. So again, with this 2-year thing, whatever age you are, I feel some of you are becoming very aware of how your shadow operates and how to access your true power. You can see here like the boundary that's around her, and it's making her very happy though to have made this choice to, it's actually fortifying your energy. It's like the more boundaries you have, the more like self-contained. And maybe some of you need a little bit of privacy right now as you're going through this transformation and you're feeling quite self-contained. I've also got the word bored, so perhaps some of you are feeling bored in a way too, you know. And with the Ace of Pentacles and Page of Pentacles, it is, you know, time to get our hands dirty. You know, it's time to really like dig in to like, it's time to really dig into your mission or really dig into your purpose. I feel pile number one, and it's time to embrace everything that you are. And if that means that you need to get your hands a little bit dirty, or that means you need to roll up your sleeves, or that means you need to put some boundaries, or that means you need to become comfortable with putting yourself out there and taking a compliment and being at the center of things and being a leader, then, you know, then that's what it means. And I think you guys this transformation has been a couple years in the making, and the Morrighan is helping to guide you through this, and is helping you to achieve this, because the World card is also about what we can materially achieve and the real results of what we're doing, you know. And so is the Ace of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is very much about like embracing what we are naturally good at, embracing our natural talents, and taking things one step at a time and being very practical. And some of you may be looking to grow your network. You may be looking to grow your finances. You may be looking for some recognition for the work that you've been doing, or looking for the payoff for what you've been doing. And you may feel like you've been compromising your principles, perhaps feeling like, am I being too soft? I don't want to look back and go, boy, you know, I wish I would have dealt with that, okay? And I think you're facing up to that. And I see a lot of like radical self-acceptance and looking back on the past and going, yep, I did that. I hope my ancestors weren't watching that one, because I fucked that one up, you know? And we all have that. We all have that, where it's like, gee, I hope, you know. But it's like, I feel with the World and the Six of Wands, you're not afraid of anything anymore. You're ready for the next step. That's what I would say, pile number one. You're ready for the next step, okay? And I just got the J names, or like Janessa, or names that end in ESSA, like that, okay? But I feel some of you are just like, you're at that phase where you're looking back and you're like, God, I can't believe I did that. And are my ancestors like proud of what I've been doing, or the way I've been carrying on the traditions, or am I just like a big disappointment? And you're not, pile number one, you're not. You've been really, the moon is about being very inwardly focused on our internal journey rather than expressing ourselves outwardly. But you're starting to make this shift now to expressing yourself more outwardly, is what I'm seeing there. And you know, and it's like, okay, I don't want to deny what I'm feeling anymore. I don't want to keep abandoning myself because I'm trying to like be very diplomatic, or, you know, make sure all sides of the coin are, I get it. It's like, we want things to be wrapped up in a neat little bow, but that's not, you know, life is messy. And the Morrighan understands that. The Morrighan understands the darker side of things. And and she's helping you point out your shadow. And I mean, underneath that diplomacy may be times where you felt like your boundaries weren't respected, or you were angry, all right? Because the Morrighan also can talk about, you know, anger, resentment. It's very like plutonic energy. So the same with this shadow. So really understanding some of those shadow feelings that you've had. I feel like we have first house and arrival. I love that. Ooh, I love that. That's nice. And look at the world card in the middle of that there. And look at how serious you are. And you're like, it's about time for my arrival. That reminds me of that song by Christina Aguilera where she's like, it's about time for my arrival. Gonna get nasty, gonna get whatever she says. It's about time for my arrival. And I see you, I forget what song that is, but it's funny, two Christinas came up in this reading, but it's funny how serious you guys are about. It's not funny, it's just like, you're not messing around. You're not at all messing around, and you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. You're not afraid to roll up your sleeves. And you're at this point now where you're really, really pushing your own self-growth and taking ownership of your own growth. And I love that for you. It's a real sign of maturity. I feel like somebody here could have grayish eyes or gray colored eyes. Like some people have blue grayish colored eyes. Perhaps at times people mentioned that your eyes looked that way, pile number one. But the first house in astrology also has to do with our health and our well-being and our physical vitality. So there's also a need to like solidify that and to work with that energy, I feel like. And the first house is all about us. You know, in astrology, there's other houses for other things. There's, you know, our spouse's money, our kids, our job, you know, all those things are about other people. I get it. But the first house is about you. And that's what this is really on, is about you. It's time for your arrival, okay? It's about time for your arrival, pile number one. Now, let's go ahead. I'm going to read the Morrighan for you guys. It's number 37 here, and we're going to see what else is coming through. Consider your life a magical gift and your experience of it a beautiful opportunity to leave the world a better place. Yeah, very much the world card. And to build on prior successes, leave the world a better place. I love that. You have that gift back when death comes and ends your time. You give that gift back when death comes for you and ends your time on this plane. Experiences, relationships, projects, and even long cherished dreams are all subject to the natural laws of death and magic of the Celtic goddess, the Morrighan. Now it's time for you to let certain parts of your life die and recognize this process as something to celebrate as well as mourn. Yeah, celebration. I mean, the Six of Wands for sure, but also the mourning and the feelings that go along with that, okay? Let go with love and gratitude. Leave your fears behind. Yep, I talked about conquering fears and discovering your power. For in death there is great magic, as nothing can ever be truly destroyed. From the ashes of the old, a new life and a new dreams will come to be. Face this time of dying and death with love and courage. Yeah, the Six of Wands, very much courage. Yeah, be willing to be empty. Wow, like the Ace of Pentacles, like to start off at nothing. Even the World card is the end of something, and the aces are the new beginning of something. So be ready to be empty. Soon the goddess Morrighan will fill you up with the magic, and a new world will be born for you. This is her gift for you when you surrender your resistance and allow things to be as they are. Yeah, the Morrighan is definitely helping with acceptance of emotions, releasing fear, tapping into your power, very Plutonic energy. Magic is everywhere and in all aspects of life, including death, dying, and decay. What is in the dark and hidden deep within our very natures. Yet in modern culture, we spend so much time in denial, concocting ways to avoid death, refusing to allow nature to be true. Yep, we've lost so much wisdom as a result. You're being invited to address the areas of your life that no longer serve, that need to die, without a promise of what will take its place. Wow, that's the death card in a nutshell. In tarot, like we're asked to, and that's why it's hard, because we're asked to let go of something, but we don't know, we have to be empty. We don't know what could feel like fill its place, but we have to trust It's that scorpionic journey of releasing and yet trusting and yet moving forward. And it's like, do you see how the universe like folds in on itself and repeats itself, and how nature keeps going? And the Ace of Pentacles, like connecting to the earth, perhaps, gardening, plants, etc., nature walks, all these things that help us connect, the trees that help us understand the cycles of nature. Do you need to walk away from someone, a way of behaving or thinking? Like the caterpillar who has no idea how to be a butterfly, you must surrender to the process of metamorphosis. You must make room for the miracle while at the same time not demanding certainty. Yeah, that's the other thing, like we demand certainty sometimes. We want to know that something's going to work out. Tell me if this is going to work out. I can't tell you guys, how many readings I do where people are like, tell me if this relationship is going to work out. Tell me if this is going to work out, and that can be our anxiety, but it also can be wanting to control outcomes. And I get it, when you invest all of your emotion, moon feelings, when you invest a lot into something, it's really, the moon has to do with comfort. And the World card isn't necessarily about comfort. It's a Saturnian card, and it is about, defining things. It's not about necessarily waiting in a passive emotional or kind of letting our emotions run through us. It's about accomplishing something and defining something. And the moon is very different than that. The moon is very soft and touchy-feely and, following, like thinking the feelings are everything. And feelings are important, but when we mature, the World card, we realize that our feelings and our fears and our need to control things are not as important as our emotions claim they are. Things come and go in life, and the older you get, the more you realize that, for sure. And so you see, what death are you? So look at this. The magical death goddess, the Morrighan, offers you the alignment task of self-questioning. What death are you resisting right now? Because she challenges. The Morrighan is a goddess that challenges. And it's not like, Aphrodite, where it's like, oh, let's, Aphrodite can be fierce in her own way too, but like the Morrighan challenges you to define yourself in a new way, to define your identity, first house, in a new way, without all the old congested emotions. And what darkness do you need to bring to awareness? How has fear ruled your choices? Yeah, how has fear ruled your emotions and your choices as well? Wanting to stay in comfort rather than get out in life, Your magic is so much stronger than you think. You can do this. Your dreams depend on it. The Morrighan will be with you every step of the way. And she is a very courageous, awe-inspiring goddess. Not every goddess wants to deal with death and rebirth, That's a tall order. And not every person in life is equipped to deal with that. But I think you are pile number one. You have the depth and the courage within, and you're just stripping away old fears, old habits, and embracing this radical self-love where it's very pure at this point. And I do feel your ancestors are very proud of you. We can only receive love to the extent that we unconditionally love and live the truth of ourselves. And, I'm on the fence with total unconditional love because I think it can get a little self-sacrificial at times, but I'm definitely for living the truth of our personhood. I'm definitely, and I feel you guys are taking a long, hard, perhaps even scathing look at some of your patterns from the past. And hey, I get it. Sometimes we really have to self-analyze, and then sometimes we wonder, is all this even getting me anywhere? Is talking about this or writing about it or journaling it or going to therapy about it, is it really even doing anything? And I think the answer is Yes, I do. And I think you've been, for the last couple of years, you've been preparing for a new phase of your life, and you've needed these lessons in order to make the most out of what is coming your way. So that is what I am getting for you, pile number 1. I hope that that reading resonated for you, and I'd love to hear any of your thoughts, your comments, or your feedback on that message. Take care, pile number 1, and let's move on to pile number 2. Okay. Pile number 2, welcome to your reading. You chose Ishtar, and today's reading is a Pick a Goddess reading, and I am going to give you a message from this goddess, wonderful goddess Ishtar, straight to you. Ishtar forever, as I've often said. She's one of my favorites. Pile number 2, lucky you. I'm going to get some channeled messages first, and at the end of your reading, we'll take a look at some of the messages in Goddess Power, okay? So let me just go ahead and get you some channeled messages. I'm seeing blue, or a blue crayon, or I'm actually seeing a painting with light blue on it. Like a painting of like a ship with a blue background, or like fading into the clouds, that type of thing. I'm seeing a piece of art that has blue on it, powdery blue, or some type of beautiful color, okay? So if you have a painting that you were looking at, or you were considering, or you were looking at a picture, and you're looking, going, dang, that sky looks really blue, or dang, that's really interesting. Maybe perhaps you're watching a show on, I don't know, sailors and how ships just randomly disappear and get lost. I mean, you think about it sometimes, like with that airplane, how it just completely, Malaysia Flight 370, just how it completely went missing. I don't know why I'm going down that path, pile number 2. Perhaps you take interest in mysteries or something. But anyway, let's go ahead and see what else am I getting for pile number 2. Okay, I just heard something about frankincense. So perhaps you're burning frankincense, or you like the smell of it, or somebody spoke to you about it. Let's see what else for pile number 2. I just heard missionary position, so perhaps you guys were having some fun, or I mean, the missionary position can be kind of basic, but I mean, it could be nice sometimes too. Perhaps you and a friend were talking about sexual positions, pile number 2. Let's see what else here. Okay. I'm getting somebody's minister, or somebody's, perhaps somebody was talking to you about their minister, or something their head of their church was going through, or somebody's minister was going through. I don't know why I'm getting that. Or somebody needs to speak to an administrator about something. Let's see what else here for pile number 2. Okay, I just heard megaphone, which means perhaps you're having to repeat yourself, or you're having to speak louder, or you're really frustrated because someone isn't hearing you, or perhaps somebody's being very loud. Let's see what else for pile number 2. Okay, I just heard, oh, there's the Ace of Cups upright. I just heard manic depressive. So perhaps some of you have been dealing with that, or perhaps you've dealt with depression, or perhaps I'm getting art therapy, or people who do that, or perhaps maybe you have been feeling a little off or manic. I mean, obviously I'm not a therapist and I don't know everything about that, but you know, my heart goes out to you, pile number 2, if you've dealt with that. Spirit just wanted to bring that up. Perhaps there's somebody in your family that has that, or you're worried, you know, about somebody in the family that has that, okay? Or perhaps a boyfriend or girlfriend or somebody was dealing with some mental health stuff. But pile number 2, let's see, anything else that Spirit is wanting to bring? They just told me alligator and friends. I have no idea why, but something about an alligator and friends. Hopefully people are not swimming with the alligators. That's not a good idea. Don't feed the alligators. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Pile number 2, and I'm just going to leave the Ace of Cups here because it's very like warm and nurturing, and gentle energy will hopefully carry us through this reading, okay? Let's look at your cards and then we'll read your message from Ishtar. We have the 8 of Wands, okay? The 3 of Wands. I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it. Okay, amped up. Nobody's looking too depressed around here to me. People are looking pretty amped up. But perhaps you've just come out of a phase and you're starting to feel more energy and you're starting to feel very like, you know, with it, or you're starting to feel very like active, because the 8 of Wands and the 3 of Wands are 2 of the most active cards. And the Page of Swords is, of course, very well researched and mentally aware of like everything that needs to get done is also what I feel too, or is working on a plan, I feel. And some of you here may be working on a plan for things that you want to do in the future that would be like really exciting or really fascinating or really interesting. And I feel some of you are about to enter into a very creative phase, a very like outgoing phase, a very like, you know, fascinating phase where you are going to be having a lot of like, you know, I feel a lot of ideas and a lot of, I also feel you may be doing things very last minute as well, or your schedule may be a bit of a nightmare, or you may have a lot going on where you just barely make it to work on time, or you just barely get somewhere on time, or you just barely like show up for class on time, or you just, you know, like you just barely make it. But the point is that you make it. And I feel like, you know, the 8 of Wands and the 3 of Wands is super exciting and wanting to learn about something, or perhaps wanting to learn about someone. And we have the 9 of Cups here, and it's like, oh my gosh, I just hit it big time, didn't I? I feel so free. I feel so lovely. I feel like nothing can stop me, okay? And Ishtar, it says communion, and it's all about communion with life and how we engage with life. And, you know, this 9 of Cups is screaming, I love life. Like, give me some more of life. Like, I'm getting mine, you know? Good for me. I feel so fancy, fancy free. And somebody here could have been barefoot and has some dirty feet, or somebody had dirty feet or walks around barefoot a lot. Perhaps you did a lot when you were a kiddo or something. Pile number 2. But I just feel like, you know, you're in the mood for some adventure, some pulse pumping excitement, where you're just enjoying yourself and receiving what life has to offer you as far as, you know, pleasure and pouncing. You know, I feel this energy is very much like, I want to pounce on it. I don't want this opportunity to get away from me. And I mean, you're very busy. I feel like with the Page of Swords, you have a lot going on. So like while you're out there making the most of life, I also feel like you may be doing multiple things at once. And some of you may have a lot of multitasking going on. You may have Gemini in your chart, or you're always doing 200 things at once anyway. But I feel like, you know, you're like, life is meant to be lived. And I feel like Ishtar is like smiling on you and is like, wow, you know, I mean, a little like, okay, you're going to do all that. But I also feel like she's smiling on you because it's exciting. And, you know, there's an opportunity there for you guys to really power through whatever it is that you have to get done, I feel like, with this Page of Swords, so that you can get on to the good shit, so you can have some fun, so you can have some excitement, so you can travel, perhaps. The 8 of Wands is a Mercury and Sagittarius card, and it's the Lord of Swiftness, and it does oftentimes indicate some type of travel. And perhaps some of you are wanting to physically test yourself in a new way, or try a new sport, or learn something about a particular new hobby that you would like to start. And I think it makes you really happy. I think the outcome of it is that it really feels like you really belong doing that, or like you really belong with around these people or this community, because it's like it's very uplifting to you. It uplifts your spirit. And yeah, you got a lot to do. Yeah, you got to get from one place to another pretty quickly. Yeah, you've got shit going on, but I also feel like life is speeding up. Life is amping up for you guys. And perhaps summertime is going to be a very busy time where you guys have a lot going on. But I think you got it. I think you can handle it. If anyone can handle it, it's pile number 2. And Ishtar is here to help you. We have home. Okay, so the 8 of Wands is opposite of home. It's like, I don't feel like staying home. I feel like going out, you know, and I feel like doing something, and perhaps feeling a little restless as well too, or having bursts of energy and excitement along with periods of needing to be at home to take care of things at home. Yeah, we have Aries, the radical, and you know, the 3 of Wands is an Aries card. It's Sun in Aries. So, you know, also some of you may be feeling very bossy around the home, or you're not putting up with shit around the home. For example, shitty roommates, for example, partners not carrying their share of the weight, for example, kids who never listen, for example, parents that are always on your ass. It's like, fuck off, you know? Some of you got that teenage feeling going on, okay? And as Nico Case would say, I'm holding on for that teenage feeling. And I feel like you guys are starting to get it over here. And it says active, self-starting. And that's where Ishtar is saying, really commune with life, really get in there and be active, be self-starting, be daring, be fierce. Actually, you know, I feel like you guys are researching things you want to do, but actually do what you research. We have daring, fierce, assertive, exhilarating, on a mission, bossy, okay? Like I said, some of you may be getting very like, you know, short with people at home, like, yeah, or hey, I'm leaving, or you can stay home if you want to, but I'm going somewhere else, have fun, bye. I like it. I like it. I love it. I love a sassy woman or man or whoever you are here watching this, but driving, sparky, courageous, and having some like machismo. And right now, you know, we do have a Mars-Pluto opposition squaring Jupiter in the sky, which could definitely create some courageous, sparky, machismo, impulsive, competitive, you know, situations. And perhaps you're being a little argumentative in the home, or you're not putting up with people telling you what to do. You know, you just want to, you're curious about life, and you're ready to do things, and you're ready to get out of the house. And I feel like, you know, winter can be a real drag. Winter can be really annoying. You know, it's like when it's summertime, springtime, it's like, yeah, like I want to go out and feel the breeze in my hair. Like, don't tell me like that I can't leave or I can't go, because I'm going. And for those of you that do have crappy roommates or crappy situations, some of you may actually be moving, or you may be researching ideas, or you may be staying gone out of the house more just because you don't want, you know, because you're just wanting to, you know, feel powerful in your own way, in your own domain, and make your own choices and be super independent. And the 3 of Wands is very independent and very risk-taking as well. And so, I mean, I feel like this on switch has been flipped on here for pile number 2. Oh, yep, we have card number 77. I am brave. It's time to move on from the old patterns, habits, and fears. Now is the time to walk in the direction of your biggest desires and ambitions. Now is the time to be bold and brave. Okay, and with this Page of Swords, the vibe that I'm feeling is whatever it takes, you know, whatever I have to learn, whatever I have to do. If I have to, you know, write myself a whole list of notes so I don't forget everything that I have going on so that I can take this trip that I want to, or if I have to do all this stuff, fine. At the end of the day, though, I'm gonna do me, okay? As Cardi B would say, I think there's a sound clip of her going, I'm going to do me, or something like that. It reminds me of that. I am brave, okay? And some of you may need to have a conversation as well with the Page of Swords. I think it's going to go better than you think. You know, I think it is. And plan out what you have to say. Try to maybe, there's a lot of impulsive energy, but the Page of Swords hopefully is going to help you plan a bit, okay? And Ishtar is watching you, I feel like, with a smile on her face. And she's like, just saying, you know, make sure you plan, make sure you got something in order here for yourself, but the risk is going to be worth it, is what she's saying. We have the rainbow here, card 35, and transition. Wow. And a transition out of a phase, you know, and a transition into something like really lucky, really fortunate, you know, where you feel like, wow, I'm really having fun. I remember one year in my life, I was like, God, this is a good year. And I remember turning and looking to a friend and going, I'm happy. Like, I just blurted out, I'm happy. And I feel like you guys are transitioning into something better, and you're preparing for it, you know, and you've got some really bold ideas as well, okay? And we are coming up on Pride Month too, as far as the rainbow. And for those of you that celebrate, you know, happy Pride. We're coming up on June, and perhaps you have some, you know, plans and to get out of the house or do some things or check some new things out or do something you wouldn't normally do. It's really fun, and I feel like you really enjoy yourself. So good for you, pile number 2. Learning to have fun and embrace life is like an art. Not everybody knows how to do that, but I feel you guys are. Perspective. A calm and clear mind is free to see differently. Yeah, and that's the Page of Swords, right? A calm and clear mind is able to see differently. And, you know, the Page of Swords can be, I mean, we can see the Page of Swords with the 8 of Wands and 3 of Swords. It may be you making some impulsive decisions because you're excited, or there may be like a lack of planning. And, you know, if you feel like things are getting out of control, or you need to kind of back up and make sure you've got everything down, then, you know, there may be times when you need to kind of pull back a little bit, and so you have a clear and calm mind so that you can see something differently. And perhaps you're sick of a situation at home, or perhaps you're sick of the same old, and you're like, you know, I need a break, or I need some perspective, or I need to get away. And she's taken some time to herself here to kind of breathe. And you know what's so funny is that painting with the sky and the clouds and the blue and like the ship and the ocean, like I see it right here on this card, which is hilarious to me. Of course, there's a lighthouse guiding, and I've been getting some San Francisco vibes just kind of looking at this card. Perhaps some of you are taking a trip to San Francisco, or you want to go there, or you will go there or something. But I feel you're very, like, when you get moments to yourself alone, those moments are going to be important too. Because we don't want to go off half-cocked, you know, we want to be like thinking things through as well, okay? And I like the Page of Swords for a fresh new perspective. And like, instead of saying like, oh, this sucks, or oh, I don't want to be around these people anymore, I'm sick and tired of this shit, or whatever, maybe it's like, you know, instead of all that, I'm just going to go do something different for myself and do that. Ooh, we have Venus and Beloved, okay? And I also feel, you know, relationships, excitements around relationship, hormones. I got missionary position is one of the channeled messages here. I'm going to take a drink of water. And, you know, we have the Ace of Cups here. It was right up to start your reading. Some of you could be extremely excited, or, you know, amped up to go meet someone, or to go get wild with someone. and it's got your mind moving in 1,000 different miles per hour. Perhaps the thought of being around somebody is very exciting and exhilarating and thrilling for you, I feel like, pile number 2. But I also feel like Ishtar is cautioning you to take your time with things, like have fun, enjoy yourself. But I also feel she's coming through as a voice of reason and saying, like she's kind of coming through as a Page of Swords as a voice of reason and saying, be brave and be diligent, and it's time to walk in the direction of your biggest desires. And of course, Venus has to do with desires and has to do with what we want and what we find pleasurable. And the 9 of Cups also has to do with like what we find insanely pleasurable. And so perhaps some of you are having a sexual revival or revolution, or you're wanting to, maybe some of you are changing things about your sex life, or you're wanting to get out there, or you're feeling motivated, and you're feeling like, yeah, I want to feel good again. And Venus is a relationship focus, okay? So Venus is the planet of marriage and relationships. And, Ishtar just saying here, when it comes to relationships, a calm and clear mind is free to see things differently. And perhaps you're sick of someone or you're sick of something, but there's opportunities for you to grow or opportunities for you to do something. You just need to be your own self-advocate, okay? And perhaps you've been alone for a while, pile number 2. Maybe some of you have been alone for a while and you've really taken time to get perspective, and you're ready for Venus to come into your life and you're excited about that. And some of you may be meeting an exciting stranger, okay? We want to keep our wits about us. As I said, we're here to guide you in that way. But I also feel you're having a new perspective on love, and you're getting your swagger back is what I feel. Pile number 2, you're getting your swagger, your ego is getting fortified again. You're feeling good about yourself. You're feeling strong. You're feeling sexy. You're like, yeah, like once I cleared my head and really saw what my options were, now I feel so much better. And good for you, pile number 2. I appreciate that. Let's read. I turned right to her. Let's turn to Ishtar. Your intimate relationship with the invisible world is being called upon right now as you enter into an unfamiliar environment and situations. Okay? It's time to commune with the great goddess in the aspect of conscious universe in her most collaborative form. The world then becomes your oracle as it opens up and communicates everything you need. Yep, Page of Swords, in forms of signs, omens, and messages. Now is the time to pay attention to the synchronicities and those moments when logic and reason fail to give you the full picture. And the Mesopotamian goddess Ishtar reminds you of the time in her ancient temples when the priestesses served as oracles, communing with the goddess and imparting wisdom to the people who sought guidance. Aw, look at everything in your life as an opportunity for communion, losing the need for self-centeredness, connecting to source in a sacred, intimate way. You will not pray on your knees as a supplicant. You engage the great goddess as a partner in co-creation, participating in the making of worlds. No one needs to rescue you when you act empowered, aware, and awake. Yeah, 8 of Wands, 3 of Wands, Page of Wands, active, awake, right? Empowered, aware, and awake of the wondrous miracle that you are a part of. Okay, and this is about not being on your knees as a supplicant. This is about losing the need for self-centeredness. Look at everything in your life as an opportunity for communion with life. And your intimate relationship with the invisible world. For those of you that are intuitives or channelers, or you seek the guidance of spirit yourself, or you have intuitive gifts, you're being called up right now in a new way. because I feel like the world needs your message, and there is something very beautiful with Venus here, and your ability to have a calm and clear perspective. Perhaps some of you are advising others or helping others to tap into their empowerment. Very nice message, pile number 2, but you're being called to the ancient temples of Ishtar, not as a supplicant on your knees, but as, a fully aware person who sees the value that you have to bring, okay? And it says, when you refuse to see the signs, it can ultimately take you down a path you really don't want to be on. When red flags indicate something is not quite right, it's not a sign to jump in with both feet. Yeah, and that's where, the 8 of Wands and the 3 of Wands, like really wanting to jump in with both feet, really excited, but the Page of Swords, like really seeking out the intuitive, and because the Page of Swords is also very intuitive. The pages are, especially the Page of Swords is really present in the astral plane, so in the realm of ideas. So I think, if you see the signs, when you refuse to see the signs, it can ultimately take you down a path you really don't want to be on. Okay, but Ishtar is going to help you with that and help you get to what it is that you want. Just, having a clear and calm perspective, even in the midst of being like really excited about something. When red flags indicate something is not quite right, it's not a sign to jump in with both feet. It says, this is not for you. This is not yet. This is to be revealed. Okay, and with Ishtar, we have to be patient because not everything comes in the moment that we demand it, and that's a very interesting advice. This is not yet, this is to be revealed. If you choose to move forward stubbornly, you could find yourself back in an old lesson that you'd rather not face again. When you're attached to an outcome and unable to see another option, you might say, the oracle said this wasn't in my best interest, but I'm going to do it anyway. The truth is, the goddess Ishtar is offering this alignment task for you now. Trust that the wisdom in the universe will provide. Trust in the wisdom the universe will provide, with perfect form, but in divine timing. This means you might have to wait for a while, okay? Reconnect to your partnership with the goddess and trust you will not be left behind. This connection is at the core of everything. Wow, okay. This connection to the goddess, not this connection to a person. Because the goddess is love. The goddess is here in love and here in peace with us, okay? And this means you might have to wait for a while, which I think you guys are, there is a part of you that's kind of done, or I feel like doesn't really want to wait anymore, or perhaps, isn't really, because you're active and daring and self-starting and fierce, and, you're sick of playing it safe with this home card here. I get it. But I also just feel like, let's take our time here, all right? And if you're seeing red flags on something, and I get it, sometimes when we've been hurt a lot or we've had a lot of shit, like when we see, sometimes we're so nervous about a red flag that we can totally psych ourselves out, and that can be a good reason to seek a reading, like, hey, my gut instinct is telling me like that there may be a red flag here, but I'm not sure. What do you think? That could be a good time to get a reading on something and sometimes it's hard to read for yourself. I don't really read for myself that often, to be honest. I mean, I don't do readings for myself that often in general, but because I'm kind of a person, I kind of just like, life guides us, if we're open to the energy, and that's not a very good selling point for a person who's selling readings, but life has a way of guiding us, and sometimes we do things anyway, and then we have to go back to an old lesson now, and it really does help us get perspective which is fine. Like, if we have to go back to an old lesson to look at again, that's fine. All right. But we're going to have to be a little bit patient. And if we refuse to see the signs and we refuse to ignore a red flag, then, then things can get tougher. That's for sure. And I know I've done that many times in my life, so don't feel bad if you've done that. Pile number 2, definitely do not feel bad with that. Sometimes we just want that. We want to commune with life so badly, and the goddess has much to teach us about, timing and correct action is what I feel, okay? And getting a new perspective on love that really opens up your mind is something that I feel Ishtar is helping you to do. And if you feel like you're getting a bunch of red flags from someone, or it started out with a red flag, or it started out with a lie, or it started out with something, then I would say that's a good time to, back away. Don't touch the hot stove. And as we get older, we get more aware of these things. But, honestly, I was touching the hot stove into my late 30s. So, sometimes we just keep touching that hot stove and we keep, getting a little burned and we keep getting a little, but I mean, the goddess is patient. Pile number 2, the goddess is very patient. So, I mean, I feel things are getting more exciting for you. Just don't, in your quest, don't overdo it is what I would say. Okay. So just a little message there for you, pile number 2. I hope that reading resonated for you. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, and your feedback. Thank you so much, pile number 2, and take care. Let's move on to pile number 3. Okay. Pile number 3, welcome to your reading. You chose the White Buffalo Calf Woman, and I'm excited to do a reading with her for goddess energy. I haven't done a reading with her, I think, yet, so very cool that you picked this pile. And on her card, it says reverence. So let's begin. I'm going to get some channeled messages for you, pile number 3. And why did I feel like I just said that with a Boston accent or East Coast accent? Anyway, we have the 8 of Pentacles. Maybe some of you are listening to this while you're at work or doing something. I'm always amazed, like, when people listen to tarot readings on walks, at work, doing different things. Good for you. Thank you for being here, pile number 3. And let's get some channeled messages first for you. Okay, I just heard something about Oriental or something being Oriental. People don't really use that word these days, but perhaps you went to a restaurant with the name Oriental into it, or you were at an Asian restaurant, but I'm just getting that word, so I have to say. It's also like something about orientation. Perhaps some of you have an orientation you have to go to, or you have to reorient yourself to a task. I see somebody who learned something at work but hasn't done it for a while, or is having to relearn something that they used to do at a job or a different job, or somebody that is like going through orientation, going through training, or is doing something again. And sometimes, like, we have to, like, if there's something we're taught to do and then we have to go back and try to do it again and we haven't done it for a while, it can be like, ooh, So for those of you going through that, blessings. Let's see what else here for pile number 3, right? I feel you guys have the right focus and attitude about things, though. So I'm happy about that, pile number 3. Let's see what else here. I just heard something about a match made in heaven. I also heard something about a TV show with heaven in it, perhaps talking about heaven, or talking a movie about heaven, or a show with the word heaven in it. Wasn't there something like Seventh Heaven, or I don't even know, back in the day, pile number 3, but something about heaven. Perhaps maybe you were talking about heaven, but I just got that. All right, let's see what else here for pile number 3. Okay. I just got the word Nostradamus, which, I mean, okay, not everybody talks about Nostradamus every day, but, you know, Nostradamus was a famous seer. And anyway, perhaps you were talking to someone about religion or readings or how different religions see spirituality differently. I don't know, pile number 3. Are you getting that philosophical on me over here? What are you doing, pile number 3? What's going on with you these days? Let's see what else here. Okay, I also just saw a single red rose. Okay, and I also feel like a single red rose, perhaps from, I also saw a single white rose, but anyway, pile number 3, there is a Knight of Swords here. So there could be a particular air sign on your mind, perhaps an Aquarius, because the Knight of Swords is representing Aquarius, but perhaps there is a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius who's on your mind. Or somebody who has a way of saying things that can be like, and it could be you have somebody who at work or in your friend group or in your family, or somebody who says things that are very rude or cutting, perhaps too, or it's just outright rude, even rude customers, these types of things. But anyway, pile number 3, we are here to get a message from the beautiful white buffalo calf woman. So let's go ahead and see what we have going on here. We have the Magician. I love it. Good for you. We have the 9 of Pentacles. I love it. We have the 2 of Swords. Okay. And we have the Knight of Wands. Oh, I love the confidence in this Knight of Wands in the Light Seers deck. Like, she's very confident and white buffalo woman looks very confident as well too. I love the look in her eyes. And the Magician and the 9 of Pentacles is where we're drawing on new skills, or we're drawing on new talents as well. New skills, new talents. And we don't know sometimes when we start messing around, like where something is going to lead us. But, you know, and there may be a choice that you guys are facing right now, pile number 3, between something more like predictable or something more off the wall. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. I'm also getting somebody who does acting, performance, singing, somebody who is extremely creative, talented. I'm also getting people who have multiple jobs as well, pile number 3. So I just have to tell you what I'm getting. And we have power here. Ooh, the Magician with power. I like that. I do. And when you take the power of the Magician, of that focus and concentration, and you take that and you put that with the 9 of Pentacles, of that steady, determined, practical effort, you know, wow, it's quite a powerful combination. Okay. And I do feel there's something about believing in your power here, pile number 3. We have the 12th house in surrender, subconscious mind, compassion, dreams, karma, forgiveness. Okay. Baggage, past baggage, healing, spiritual development. Okay, I was talking about religion and different things like that in your guys' channel messages. That's a very 12th house kind of a topic. Spirituality, religion, etc. Trance states, the unseen, guilt, prayer, and development. Development of your 12th house power. Now, a lot of people are like, well, the 12th house doesn't have a whole lot of power. It's a place where things can become very debilitated. And I get it. And sometimes we have to work in atmospheres that are very challenging, or we have to be in places that are very emotionally or mentally exhausting. But we also have to remember that the 12th house is a moksha house, and it has to do with enlightenment, and it does have to do with spirituality, and it does have to do about surrendering to the power of the divine. And it is a very religious house in a way too, or it's a very spiritual house. So let's see what else we have here. 88. Okay, and the other thing about the 12th house is it is a house of expenses and wastage at times. Maybe some of you are trying to hustle up some money, or you're trying to get some money together for a particular thing that you want to do so you can invest in something that you want to grow. Okay, and it says here, card 88, you are on the cusp of a prosperous and abundant spiritual life. You will find numerous opportunities for success and achievement. Yeah, definitely the Nine of Pentacles. But I also feel there has to be a lot. You will find success in whatever you put your concentration into, pile number 3. You will. And I feel like some of you may be asking, like, if you're starting a new career or doing something, like, is this going to actually work out? Is this actually going to give me anything? And it's like, yeah, I think it is. But I also think there's like a really hyper creative, hypersexual, hyper creative, maybe not crazily hypersexual. I mean, the 12th house is also the house of the pleasures of the bed in Vedic astrology. So perhaps you are hypersexual, but tapping into the unseen power, and also tapping into your unseen power and tapping into your creativity is huge for you guys. And I love how she has her legs wrapped around this drum, because it is kind of sexual in a way. All right. And it's like, I go to the beat of my own drum. I go to the beat of my own drum. You know, it's very much like sacral chakra, solar plexus, perhaps like rhythmic drumming is really cool. You know, also sound healing. I saw a thing, you guys, the other day where people were doing sound healing at raves, like using melodic sounds or melodic house for like healing. Perhaps some of you are into sound healing or into different. I just thought it was really interesting and really cool. And, you know, but there is this thing, there could be this obsession with tapping into your power right now, pile number 3, that's like a total mystery, because I feel like, you know, you guys are really good, or you learn quickly, or you do things really well, or you stay very successful, busy, and, you know, active here with the 9 of Pentacles. But the 9 of Pentacles likes to see things grow. That's for sure. And doesn't just want it to be like the potential of what it could be, but actually is wanting to see things grow. And perhaps some of you are wanting to put your money into something, or make an investment into something, and you know you need to do something, but you're not sure yet. You're like, or you have a couple different choices of what you could do there, okay? But it says, I am wealthy, and there's numerous opportunities for success and achievement, all which may bring financial and material abundance into your life. Fantastic. Because I feel like some of you here with the 12th house, you may have had many expenses. You may be, some of you may feel like, you know, hey, I've been living paycheck to paycheck for a long time, or it's been money in, money out, or I've just had a lot of expenses recently, you know, and I feel like, you know, Spirit's saying here, you won't even see it coming. Okay. White buffalo calf woman is like, really tap into who you are and tap into your power, and have reverence for the person that you are and for the gifts that you're bringing to the table. And also talking about the power of surrender. You know, what happens when we let go and we surrender and we go into a trance state and we go into a healing state. And this also talks about the power of our Akasha, the power of the Akashic records. Some of you may have had lifetimes in the past where you were indeed very powerful or very wealthy, and you may realize in this lifetime that there is some potential for that, or that there is some potential for untapped power. But what do we do with that, and how do we use that? And the Knight of Wands can be, the Two of Swords can be not scratching the surface deep enough, and the Knight of Wands can be, the Two of Swords could just be scratching the surface of something, and the Knight of Wands can be very impulsive. So there is a need to, with the Nine of Pentacles, to save or to be prudent, and to be concentrated with the Magician, whose energy brings focus and concentration and the ability to build worlds, and also is extremely multi-talented and intelligent as well, like raw intelligence, and putting some structure around things as well too with the Magician. And I love the Magician and the Nine of Pentacles because they work really well together, but there's maybe a danger with the Two of Swords of not seeing results and not seeing what we want to see right away. And so we don't allow our potential to fully develop, and we just start doing other stuff, or we leave stuff behind, or we don't finish things. And the 12th house can definitely be where something is left unfinished, or something isn't completely manifested yet. It's still in like the subconscious realms. And some of you may be having Pluto in the 12th house. You may have K2, the south node, in your 12th house. You may be getting transits of Pluto or K2 to your 12th house. But anyway, I just feel like there's a lot of hidden power there. There's a lot of hidden spiritual power within you. And there also is a programming, I feel like probably a past life programming towards wealth. Now, maybe you don't feel that at all in your life right now. You're like, hey, I'm barely, making it, or I'm just, I'm hand to mouth, or there's been a lot of expenses, or I've really been trying to stay focused and get ahead, but things happen, I don't see them coming, and it is discouraging, okay? And I get it, but I also feel like you guys are on the cusp of something really abundant coming into your life. Perhaps some of you are having a Jupiter transit to your first house. For my Taurus risings, who have Taurus on the ascendant, Jupiter is going to be crossing your ascendant. Like it's been in your 12th house, but there's opportunities to amp up what it is that you're doing. And maybe you don't see it now, and maybe you're not having belief in it, because the 12th house asks us to have faith in our power and faith in our choices, right? But it can be, the 12th house can be overwhelming. It really can be very overwhelming, and we have to dig ourselves out of, when we get into the 12th house, we really have to dig our way out of something to find our true core power, okay? And let's see what else we have here. We have hungry ghost and fear, okay? And whenever I see the hungry ghost, I think about addiction, which of course is another 12th house thing when we talk about fears and upsets and addictions. And the Buddhists often talk about the hungry ghost when it comes to addictions, and talks about like where those feelings come from, and the things in our past that kind of haunt us, or the memories of the things that we did in the past that weren't necessarily good for us, that perhaps drained our power, or perhaps weren't very honoring to who we are, okay? And I love the Knight of Wands because it's very magnetic. The Knight of Wands, some of you may have a very magnetic sexuality as well, and you may have unmet sexual needs, or perhaps hypersexuality. Definitely something with sexual power, I feel here, in healing the relationship with the sacral chakra. You can see the orange flame there, and sexual power, and how that plays into all of your life, I feel, because there's a couple different areas of your life that I feel are coming through in this reading. And perhaps you had fears that you'll abandon something halfway through, you won't follow through, and you'll just go back to your old ways. But I don't feel there's untapped hidden potential within you, pile number 3, and I don't feel like that's going to happen. Some of you here are very spiritually wealthy, I feel, as well, because of your past lives, or because of what you've learned about yourself, okay? And knowledge is power. And with the Magician, we have Mercury. And so we have Mercury and power. We could have Mercury Pluto here. Some of you may have Mercury Pluto, but knowledge is power. But it also can make us obsessive mentally. And that's where we really have to have the 12th house to kind of surrender our fears and surrender the ghost and give up the ghost and let go of the past and all of that, okay? And we have here, we have spirit self, be who you are as you are. Yeah, be who you are as you are. Don't be, and the Knight of Wands could also be, with power, could also be talking, and the 12th house could talk about healing our relationship with shame, okay? And this very plutonic energy, especially for those of you, my heart goes out to you, pile number 3, for those of you that have suffered any type of sexual abuse or any type of buried abuse where people used power against you and you felt helpless, or you felt like you couldn't be yourself or be who you truly are because there was this energy that was cast on you. Pile number 3, I just have to say, I love your confidence and your power. And I feel like more and more as time goes on in your life, you're becoming more you. And it's almost like you don't care. It's like, I don't care if my hair stands up straight. I don't care if anybody's even listening. I don't care. I'm going to be me. I'm going to go to the beat of my own drum. And if you don't like it, fine. And for some of you, it may have made you kind of difficult to fit in when it comes into fitting in with people at work or fitting in with peers. Because I feel some of you in this pile have had some very unique experiences in your life, which may set you apart from other people. And, the 12th house can be very isolating. And sometimes, there's power in isolation, and sometimes we're kept separate for different reasons to tap into our power, into our talents, so that we can manifest them in the outer world, 9 of Pentacles. But some of you may have also dealt with, some people like isolation. They absolutely do not like being around other people. But I actually feel like, I actually feel like for you guys, truly seeing yourself for who you are and for your talents and your gifts, and not hiding behind anything, not hiding your power, tapping into your power. This is going to help you be more abundant. And yeah, you may not ever truly fit in with everyone else, but who needs it? Who needs it? You are here to be uniquely you. Be who you are as you are, okay? And don't let people judge you or put you into a box, pile number 3. We have Juno and partnership. Interesting. Okay, and so some of you may feel like with this 12,000 power that you give your power away in partnerships, or there's been times that you've given too much into your partnerships. And some of you may be, because I feel with the Knight of Wands, you're very independent, and you may be even shying away from partnerships in a way here. Perhaps some of you would like a wealthy partner, hey, whatever floats your boat. But I also just feel like you may feel like there's opportunities, or there's people around you who would like to be partners with you, perhaps someone who's older. But I also feel like, I don't know, partnership may not be the best thing for you right now, pile number 3. I gotta be honest, I feel like you're doing a lot of, partnership may not be, and maybe you guys are like, I know, or I do have someone in my life right now, but I also have to have time for myself and for my own journey. And I get that. Like, you need time for your independence, or you need time to heal, or you need time, like, a lot of times we get wrapped up in relationship and we sort of lose the plot, we sort of lose the story. And it's real easy sometimes to kind of lose ourselves in the 12th house, because we're there next to the first house, but the first house doesn't really regard the 12th house, or can't really see what's going on in it. And so it becomes like this place where we lose ourselves to an old story, to old fears, where we're scared, of getting involved again, or we're real gun shy about it, or we just may feel like, I feel some of you here, if you're not partnered, you would like a partner, or perhaps partnership will become important at some point. But I also feel like retaining your independence with the Knight of Wands and discovering like your hidden talents and your strengths and drawing on your own independence, because the Nine of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, very independent cards. It doesn't mean you're not going to get down and freaky, because I feel like some of you in this pile do have a freak flag within you with this power in the 12th house. Like, I feel some of you do have that. But perhaps there is some fear about sharing that, or letting someone you're with know about that. Okay. And I get it. It's there's some sensitive topics, and the 12th house definitely covers those sensitive topics for sure. And, it could also be something around, like with this Knight of Swords, is it the right time to share something? Is it the right time to kind of talk about something or get into something, and maybe you guys, like I said, you're just a little, with the Two of Swords, we can be a little uncertain, and I get it. And perhaps it's best to focus on your creativity, your skills, and your financial resources right now. You've got a lot to focus on, plus a lot of healing that you're doing. So you're covering a lot of ground, I feel, pile number 3. All right. But there's still all this unexplored territory as well. So let's go ahead, and I want to, perhaps some of you were, when you were younger, were interested in putting spells on people or curses, or perhaps you wondered if someone did that to you. We could just stay out of that territory. If we don't have experience in that territory, I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't really go there. And I don't think you need to worry about it either. And I don't think you need to fear anything either. I don't think you need to fear your spirit self, or fear, because I feel you guys have a lot of spiritual power. You don't need to hold back and fear that, okay? And with White Buffalo Calf Woman, some of you may have a connection to like Aboriginal cultures, Native American cultures. You do have an awful lot of power within you, within your thoughts, within your mind, within your ability to communicate in certain ways. And perhaps some of that has been hidden to you, pile number 3, okay? But let's look at White Buffalo Calf Woman and what she has to share here with you, okay? We have empowerment message. Now is the time to view your world through the lens of peace and harmony and reconciliation. Surrender, the 12th house, the domain of the Lakota goddess, White Buffalo Calf Woman. It's time to leave the right and wrong, the good and bad, right? Like the right and wrong, the good and bad. And that's very like religious, isn't it? Right and wrong, good and bad, black and white, this particular thing is going to take you to hell, or, this thing is morally wrong, or this thing is not good to explore, like that type of stuff. It's time to leave the right, wrong, the good, bad, the zero-sum game world behind, and enter into a space where you can find sacred ground of sharing without guile and negotiating from a desire, that benefits everyone. Yeah, without guile, without pretense, basically. And, where everything is right or wrong, or good or bad. And, a lot of people are afraid of this type of power that we find in the 12th house. Okay. And a lot of people make moral judgments about the way people live their lives. And some of you here, like I said, you could be different. And it says, let's find the sacred ground of sharing without guile. And Mercury can have a lot of guile, or pretense behind it, or a lot of, especially Mercury Pluto can have a lot of guile or pretense behind things. But negotiating from a desire point where everyone's going to benefit. You will be so glad that you did. Take a humble yet grounded approach to your life right now. Only good will come of it. The white goddess buffalo calf woman supports this way of being in the world. And I love that. The Nine of Pentacles is very much that humble yet grounded approach to life. Now, of course, the Nine of Pentacles is the Lord of material gain, and we see a very lush woman, but there's also, the other side of the Nine of Pentacles, which is Venus and Virgo, which is very a humble way to approach things, a grounded way to approach things. And there is a way to do that without overdoing something. Like the Knight of Wands may get very hungry for old experiences, or addictions, like we talked about, impulsive behaviors, things like that. But at the same time, like white buffalo calf woman, talking about doing what's natural, or doing things from a humble and grounded space, which is very nice. Unconscious choices. Yeah, the 12th house. Unconscious choices, and that's also the Two of Swords. Unconscious choices and behaviors may be causing a distortion in your world. Difficult feelings are a part of the journey of self-discovery. You may have been conditioned to suppress what makes you uncomfortable in order to survive, okay? And, that can happen in partnership where we're like I said, we lose the plot of the story, or we lose our original intention, the Magician all being about intention, and the power of that original intention can sometimes get diluted or lost in the 12th house. If you've been conditioned to suppress your power, or you've been conditioned to suppress somebody's advances or somebody's power over you in order, you make yourself uncomfortable in order to survive. And that's a very Plutonic 12th house type of thing. And it's something that can definitely happen in partnerships. We can not be comfortable with someone, or the way they're being with us, or the way that they're engaging with us. And I talked about that Knight of Swords energy as well at the beginning of the reading. You may have found yourself in a temporarily awkward place with someone, Juno in partnership, and don't know what the next step should be. White buffalo calf woman offers you this alignment task. Make the discomfort and awkwardness and uncomfortable sacred. If you feel uncomfortable, awkward, or feel out of place, then think about this. What would happen if you made what you consider to be a flaw, a loss, or a failure a beautiful, integral part of the art of your life? And I talked about the art of your life, and some of you being very creative that way. And perhaps some of you will do art about that, or do some type of performance, etc. that's extremely embodies all of this. And the 12th house is where we can be shamed or embarrassed about who we are, or what we've done, or the things we've done in the past, and where we've fallen prey to the hungry ghost. And white buffalo calf woman is saying, think of what would happen if you made what you considered to be within you. If you consider your flaws, you consider a loss that you had, a failure that happened. Perhaps some of you cheated on a partner, or something negative happened with a partner, or they cheated on you and you experienced a great loss because of that, or there's some flaw that you felt within yourself, okay? But how about we consider that flaw? We're all flawed, but why don't we consider that an integral part of the art of life? Not to say that we're going to take people that abuse us and be like, wow, that's just a part of the art of life. I mean, some really fantastic artists have taken some of the things that they've gone through and made some extremely inspiring and very brave art. And, you know, you gotta, I mean, what they went through is hell, but you've gotta like appreciate someone who can do that too. Every breath you take is sacred. Every mistake you make is a gift. And every time you learn from a relationship is blessed. Bless all parts of you and your life, for you are sacred, and the white buffalo calf woman wants you to be at peace. I love that. And to not be scared, and to not be worried that you're going to fall back into old patterns, or you're going to, I mean, taking care of yourself, Nine of Pentacles, and being aware, the Magician, and being conscious of the choices you're making. Like, you know, all of these things are important, but the white buffalo calf woman wants you to be at peace, okay? More than anything, to be at peace. And sometimes with the 12th house in power, we may become obsessed with revenge, or we may become obsessed with, you know, winning, or all this type of thing. But, you know, all of that does is it, at the end of the day, like, I mean, I get it. If somebody does you wrong, you want to flex on them. I completely, if you feel taken advantage of, you want to flex on it. But I also just feel like we may gain more at this point in your life, pile number 3, from, you know, from entering into a very like spiritual, and I mean, this is a sensitive topic, because I'm not saying for you guys to forgive abusers. I'm not saying you can't be angry with abusers. I'm not saying any of that. I just don't want you guys to use your own power against yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes in our quest to be powerful, we you know, we do things that are very self-sabotaging, or make things more difficult for us, you know? So there is that, and we can work through that, and we can realize like, hey, you know, I have a weird relationship with power. I have an uncomfortable relationship with this, or I have an uncomfortable relationship with my tendency to self-sabotage, you know, and perhaps some of you have, but I also feel you guys have the ability to experience massive increase in power due to losses that you've taken. And sometimes that happens in life. Sometimes we experience extremely painful losses, heart-wrenching losses. But at the end of the day, like, you know, and I've experienced some real painful losses in my life, pile number 3. Let me tell you, I'm not going to go into it, but, you know, been there myself. I've got like 4 or 5 planets in the 12th house when it comes to, in my Vedic astrology chart. I got like 4 or 5 planets in there. So, I mean, I'm no stranger to loss. I get it. But I also feel like sometimes when we accept a loss and we let go, we're given more power because we can handle it. You know what I'm saying? And we can use it wisely. So, that is what I am seeing for you, pile number 3. I wish you all the best of luck on your journey and on your path. And thank you for allowing me to read for you. And thank you to everyone who came to their reading today. Bless all of you and best of luck. Take care.